Did you say something when the Leafs were up 2-0?
What? No, I didn't say anything. Why?
It just seems like something you'd do.
Look at it, finally!
Good old Canadian fire.
Country!
Deal with it.
Deal and smash!
Owen Grabowski.
GTFO.
I got it from afar.
Leafs lose 3-2 in the shootout to the Boston Bruins. I want to open with a stat from Jeffler because I got to get it out of the way early because it's going to take some time to let it sink in. This season, Leafs who are not named Tyler Bozak are 0 for 17 in the shootout. I want to repeat that. Tyler Bozak is the only Leaf who has scored in a shootout this season, and the rest of the team is 0 for 17. And you can scoff at the shootout all you want, but TSN's Mark Masters made a great point on Twitter this morning. Ben Bishop, he's 4-0 in the shootouts. The Sens happen to be 4 points up in the Leafs. You just gotta be crazy not to be practicing it. You gotta be crazy. And Kadri had a good quote saying, well, I guess I'm saving all my moves for the games. And yeah, it's a cute quote, but team sucks in the shootout, man. This is going to be a bit of a stat-heavy video, so let's start with the good stuff. Joffrey Lupul really should stick around more often. He's already got his fourth, the Leafs are up 1-0. Later in the game, last video I said if Kuhlman didn't hit that crossbar, he would have 3 goals in 3 games. Well, he scores on the breakaway here, 3 goals in 4 games, pretty good. Although TSN's and former Leaf Mike Johnson pointed out at intermission, Kuhlman's only got 1 move, backhand, forehand score, which later became relevant. And a lot of teams are saying the Leafs are legit now. Boston keeps giving the Leafs way too much credit. The Penguins have given them credit too. The Leafs do look like a much better team than they have been in the past against Boston. Can't hold on to the lead. And they've coughed up a few lately, and that's not okay. And every point in the standings is precious, and the Leafs got it to overtime in the shootout for that point, but really, they lost the extra one. You cough up a 2-0 lead, you know you're not going to do anything in the shootout. That's not a good recipe for success. Let's talk about the shootout. Reimer does something in shootouts that just totally pisses me off. I saw a lot of you guys were pissed off about it too. He looks behind him after every shot. Stop it! Believe in yourself! But, as the Globe and Mail's James Myrtle points out, Reimer's save percentage in the shootouts is basically average. Well, watch for this from the Leafs now. Bozak is very versatile. He's got a ton of ways he can score in the shootout. Kessel's 15 for 52 in the shootout, and if he doesn't go forehand, check his forehead because something's probably wrong. He's got a nasty wrist shot. We've seen him deke forehand a few times, but he's not crazily versatile. Kadri, who we're always like, oh, you gotta put him in the shootout. Nifty mittens, he's got 2 moves. First of all, he usually likes to have the puck like way in front of him to kind of get goalies to bite. And he either goes backhand, nasty drag to the forehand and around and in, or he has the move that I think most Leafs fans remember from his goal on Tim Thomas where he goes a little bit forehand, backhand, roof. Kuhlman, as Mike Johnson pointed out at intermission, used the exact same move that he did on the breakaway in the shootout, and it was stopped, backhand, forehand. Remember John Mitchell had a nasty shootout move a few years ago? When he was with the Marlies, I saw him use the exact same move again, and it didn't work. And the concerning part about this is I am just some dude. I like talking hockey, but in the stats and fart jokes kind of way. And if I know this stuff just from watching, there's no way that the teams the Leafs face don't know that. But if you practice the shootout in practice, maybe some of the Leafs will be a little bit more like Tyler Bozak and be a little more versatile with their shots. Seriously, how long would it take to have all 18 skaters or whatever go through the shootout once at the end of practice? How long would it really take to do that Mustache Boy competition that the Penguins did that we remember from HBO 24/7? And I swear I'm not trying to be a dick by saying this. What if they try this competition and they discovered that Fraser McLaren's great at the shootout? Jake Gardner's a defenseman, but he's a really talented player. What if he's got something? Grabowski's talented, but he's not very good at the shootout. Maybe if he practices, he goes, oh, wait a second, figure something out. All I know is the Leafs are in the middle of a crazy playoff drought. In 2 years of that playoff drought, they missed the playoffs by 1 point, and they're just clinging to a playoff spot right now. Last but not least, some statskis for you, because a lot of you are being mean to Reimer. I don't think I'm out of line by saying Reimer might be the most valuable player on the Leafs right now. Didn't allow a very good tying goal. Not the best in the shootouts either. But remember that side I told you about behind the net, some links in the underbar for stats. Reimer is really carrying this team. They have this stat called 5-on-5 shots against per 60 minutes, which really shouldn't be an advanced stat because it is exactly what I said it is. But the Leafs, 5-on-5, on average, allow more shots than any team in the entire NHL. But the Leafs are in a playoff spot despite this stat, so I looked down the list. I'm like, is this weird that they're in a playoff spot? And what I discovered is, yeah, it is. Of the 17 teams that allow the most 5-on-5 shots per 60, only 5 of them are in a playoff spot right now. The Leafs allow 33.4 shots against every 60 minutes 5-on-5. The Sabres are second worst with 32.4. The Leafs are a full shot worse. Even on the power play, the Leafs allow the 5th most shots on average per 60 minutes. On the penalty kill, the Leafs are 3rd best. I posted on Twitter to Skinny Fish, why do you think that is? He just goes, McClement. True. And that's kind of killed the Leafs because Reimer has always had a pretty good even strength save percentage. His PK one. So the Leafs are keeping the shots down on the PK, and that's great. 5-on-5, they're getting murdered. So you'll have to excuse Reimer and Scrivens for maybe allowing 3 or 4 goals in a game, but they're facing 33.5 shots every 60 minutes 5-on-5. I don't know how well I'm explaining it, so just check out the links in the underbar. It should help. So question of the game, does that mean anything to you? Because to me it means the Leafs are still not very good and they're leaning on Reimer way too heavily. But it also means, hey, Reimer's awesome and Scrivens ain't bad either. But I could also see someone arguing, well, if the Leafs rely on their goaltending so much, why wouldn't they go out and get a better goaltender? But I'd argue back, well, they got one.